Okay. Jan did say a lot of what I had planned to say, but I'm going to go ahead and read what I had to say anyway. Winston Churchill once said, "However beautiful the strategy, you should occasionally look at the results." And that's the way I feel about term limits. Just look at the state of California. In my opinion also, what began as get Willie turned out to be the worst thing that ever happened to the state of California. Initially, people in the Assembly were limited to 3 terms, or 6 years, while people in the Senate were limited to 2 terms, or 8 years. It gave a whole lot more people a chance to be a senator or an assembly person, but it was not good for the state. In order to get elected, each person had to promise to do a lot of things. Government does work slowly, and by the time all those things got done, those terms were up, and there was nobody around to be held responsible for what had happened. 2 years to 3 years before anybody was termed out, they were no longer interested in their current elected position, but looking at what they could be elected to next. Maximum terms were more recently lengthened, and the jury's still out on how it will work, as well as how it's going to work in the county and the cities, because as Jan pointed out, we haven't had time to see yet. What has been lost is anybody's long-term vision for the state of the people of California. I'm going to repeat that. What has been lost is anybody's long-term vision for the state of California or the people who live in it, and that's a real shame. Let's look locally. It took many, many years to develop plans and find financing for the Camarillo Public Library. The council members had a vision, and without having any idea how we were going to pay for it, we went through the exercises to plan a new, larger library. After several years of planning, the state put a library bond out to be voted on by the people. By the time it passed, we were ready to go. Our plans were pretty much done. We were the first award made from that bond issue, and still to date the largest that has been made for any library. And that was because we had a stable council with a unified vision for a Camarillo library, and we were willing to keep staff focused on that goal. A more recent example is the desalination plant. We've worked on that project for more than 15 years. All of us up here have a vision of making Camarillo less dependent upon state water. All of us have learned a great deal about water, and we hope that very soon the project will receive final approvals from state and county agencies so we can begin construction. Again, that is happening because council members were stable, had time to learn all the issues related to water supply and quality, and who kept staff focused on the goal. If we had new members every 2 years who were more interested in satisfying short-term promises than in looking at long-term needs of the city, the vision of water independence could very well have been lost. Understanding the issues. When a person is first elected, as I said before, he or she has many things he or she promised to get done. Of course, one person cannot get anything done. It takes a vote of 3 to do anything. But those things are sometimes called fresh ideas, but the fact is that those are usually smaller things. The large, long-term issues remain, and believe me, it takes years for a person to grasp the ins and outs of issues such as sewage treatment, law enforcement, street maintenance, solid waste, water treatment, and the list goes on. A council member must learn a lot of detail, understanding the laws, regulations, and processes that other government agencies have in order for our city to operate. No one learns all these things quickly. It takes relationships to get the stuff done, and those relationships of trust also take years to build. Camarillo is respected all over the county because it operates so well. I believe it's the best-run city in the state. I really do. Look at the way we went from being stone broke to having enough money to do the projects we need to be done and that we want to be done, as well as having savings for a rainy day. We have the best library around, no question about that. We have the best maintained streets around. Just go to Ventura and look at their streets, or Oxnard and look at their streets. We proactively maintain our lines for water distribution and sewage collection. We also proactively have a system of maintaining our streets. We do many other things that cities don't have the money to do but wish they could. I don't believe we need to fix something that's not broken. All that being said, and considering the proposition on the table and the other proposition, I believe that this one should be put up so the people can decide whether they want term limits or not. So I will support putting Mr. Trembley's bill or his proposal on the November ballot. But in November, I don't want anybody to be surprised that I do not support the concept of term limits.